Pickaxe.
Five-day early access to every Cast Party episode, including Nocturne. Ad-free episodes, behind-the-scenes info, exclusive bonus monthly one-shots, access to our community Discord where our community plays D&D games together, has game nights, and hosts so much more, all for less than the price of a single cup of coffee per month. Aren't convinced? Try out a free trial. 7 days free to check out the content that we offer only exclusively on our Patreon. Patreon.com/castparty. Support your favorite D&D podcast, all while getting some awesome perks. Patreon.com/castparty. See you there, cast and crew.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Cast Party. My name is Colin McManus, and I will be your director for today. I am joined by Ryan McManus.
Hi, Ryan McManus playing Bjorg Jorgensen, the jewel of debauchery.
Anna Brisbane.
Lenore DeVere, Chaos Fairy, excited to push all the buttons.
Nigel Deacon.
Hi, I'm Nigel, playing Jackal Campman, the leper and loner striving for companionship and control.
Vince Perino.
Hi, Vince Perino, playing Tevin Alkin, the big metal guy who's trying to shoot his way into a bunch of memories.
Raquel Skellington.
Hi, I'm Raquel Skellington, playing Poppy, the tender-hearted giant.
And Luis Carrazzo.
Hey, I'm Luis. I'm playing Santos, the peace-seeking Glavinator.
I need Glavinator merch immediately.
Glavinator.
That's sticking around, I think.
Let's talk about what happened last time. You all were at the farm looking for the object that fell from Ilos's orbital. You fought against farm animals in the barn as they were controlled by vines coming from the vat of wine. Bjorg and Santos were tethered by a radiant thread as they each rushed towards the barn to assist the others. Jack jumped into a nearby tree to start shooting arrows, while Tevin rolled out his gun and took aim, and Poppy fired radiant sunblasts. Bjorg dropped Oopsie onto Santos' shoulder as he ran into the barn and took swing after swing with his glaive. Lenore made one of the cows much smaller as you continued making your way through these animals. And as each animal was killed, the vines that controlled it let go and returned to the vat. As the last cow was felled and the last vines retracted, the vat closed on itself. With an arrow into the small glass window to crack it and a firebolt to break through completely, the flames made contact with the being moving around in the vat. This monstrosity of vine and wood burst outward into the barn. It immediately took aim at the curious fairy. In 2 fell swoops, it knocked Lenore unconscious and engulfed her completely. Santos rushed in to bless Lenore just before Poppy threw a stray dart that connected with her thigh. With radiant magic following closely behind, a healing word brought Lenore back from the brink of death, but she remained in the clutches of this monstrosity. Jackal, suddenly filled with a hatred and rage you hadn't seen previously, rushed towards this monster. He tore through each vine and ripped Lenore from the being before tossing her aside as he continued his rampage. Tensions were high with Jackal not acting himself, even swinging wildly towards Poppy. Bjorg shot loudly into the sky with his gun to try to calm things down. This caused Jackal to recoil and hit his head, knocking him unconscious. Tensions were still high. Santos left the building to sit by a nearby tree where Poppy followed and they spoke. Poppy tried to calm Santos. She ended up telling him a story from her childhood. In the barn, Jackal awoke in his more calm form and grabbed the large mechanism that fell from the monster. This mechanism that was dragged here from the object in the crater. Jackal began walking back towards the forest with the mechanism as the rest of you followed. However, not before Lenore found a necklace made of topaz, a whistle that sounds like a hawk, and a compass that just doesn't quite point north. Now, it's late afternoon, the shadow of the trees are getting a bit longer. And so the scene is set. The question is, what will you do next?
I am almost completely silent, not speaking. I'll pause and set the thing down knowing that we're still like far away from the carriage, to just turn and address the group. I want to pause for a second and just apologize. I'm sorry for what happened. I don't know exactly what happened, but I'm sure it wasn't good based on how kind of tense things are right now. And I promise I'll tell you all about it when we're in the cart. I understand probably a lot of you don't trust me right now, and I totally accept that. I don't blame you. I just want to make sure that you guys get back safely and no one is worse for wear.
Okay.
No problem here.
Yes, at this point, I feel like I would just like to be away from all of this. The cart sounds nice.
Agreed.
I feel as if I am still learning what trust is, so if later on you could explain that to me a little bit more, I think that would be great as well.
We can do that. Yeah.
So no trust lost here.
Do we have the meteorite?
I'll turn around and just like lift the thing back up and put it on my shoulder. This is the inside of it, I think.
Then we've gotten what we've come out here to get.
I want to look at my compass. Where's it pointing?
It is pointing towards the farm.
When I was in the farm, which way was it pointing?
From where you were, west. But now it's pointing north-northeast.
Guys, I got a compass.
Strategic.
It doesn't point north, it's pointing that way. Can we follow it?
I would love to, but Poppy shrugs and the orange kind of overtop that covers her shows her shoulder, and you guys have to assume from where it looks like on her shoulder that her entire upper torso is black and blue. Really deep colors. And it doesn't look good. It looks really painful. But yet, she seems to be holding it together. Lenore, as much as I would like to, I have to get sorted out.
You want to go back to the farmhouse where you fell unconscious to a giant vine wine being. This is what you're saying?
I probably don't have to go in. Probably go around.
Or up again?
Yeah, I'll fly up even higher.
I meant through the chimney.
Oh.
Can I take a look at this compass?
Yeah. I hand it over.
And I'm going to walk it to Jackal. As I look at it, I hold my hand out so that you can look at it with me. I'm hoping you have a better guess than I do. What do you think?
Maybe it's pointing back to the farm as like a way to guide whoever had it back home. Like if they ever had to leave, they don't want to get too lost, right?
But it was pointing a different direction at the farm. It wasn't, right, Lenore? This was still wanting to guide, if that's the case, guide that person further west, I think, from there.
Didn't you find it in the barn?
Yeah.
The house was west from the barn.
I suppose, kinda.
A part of me wants to leave right away. We have the meteorite, but it does seem like we're leaving an investigation.
We're already here.
Oh, Poppy sighs.
What if it's his inheritance?
It's just not a good idea if there's something missing for us to come back with half of what's happened here reported.
Yeah.
This is at least something different. And I will say, it's probably now or never.
Here, look. I push two hands into my chest. There's a little puff of lavender smoke and it smells like lavender. And I'm casting mage armor on myself.
I'm going to start walking back to that house. I don't think it's a good idea to go back to Carmina with something that isn't fully investigated. My fear isn't necessarily that they won't let us come back. My fear is that they follow up and discover that we did a half-assed job.
Yeah, I'm just trying to be responsible.
Like they start asking too many questions and we don't have the answers. And okay, yeah, that makes sense. Turn on one of my heels, just full 180 and start walking towards Santos.
Poppy pinches her brow again. Okay, well, if we're going to investigate this, does anybody have anything, like a balm I could rub on this or something?
I turn around. I open up my hands in your direction, just like palm up, extend my arm towards you, close my eyes, and whisper something into the wind. a slight breeze makes its way towards you, but there's these wisps of these, almost as if the dust in the air starts to illuminate. It almost looks like gentle silvery golden sparks almost dancing on the wind as it floats towards you and lands on your chest. As I cast Healing Word, you will regain 5 hit points. I'm sorry I can't do much more than that, but it's something at least.
Thank you. You see the bruise that was clearly all the way to her shoulder recede. It's probably only towards the center of her chest now.
I go to do it again. You see that whatever that energy was, whatever that magical energy was, just kind of fizzles out. Whatever it is that allows me to do that, I'm out of it right now. It'll be some time before I can do that again.
Puts a hand on Santos' shoulder and pats it in reassurance. Goes, "Don't worry about it. This was enough. Thank you."
Thank you, too. I'll join the rest if we're all heading towards the house again.
As do I.
I'll catch up in just a second. I'm going to hide this so I don't have to carry this with me. I'll set a trap. Nothing will get to it. And I'm going to find like a large enough bush to hide this thing in it. And then while folks are walking back towards the house, I'm going to set just like a rudimentary snare so that it's, if something were to come, it would get tangled up. And then I'll follow behind.
I'm gonna fly 20 feet in the air and I'm following the compass.
I'm going to run and jump and fly and be next to Lenore in the air as well. And seeing you take charge and sort of leading the way with the compass in your hand, as nervous as that makes me, I'm going to try to catch up to you. Wait, hold on. And I imagine you're flying ahead, and I catch up to your ankle, and I tap your ankle, and you feel this energy sort of like seep into your body as I cast guidance on you as we fly through the air.
Ooh.
I look over and I elbow Poppy as the two of them just take off from the ground. This is going to get old very quickly.
I can do anything!
As I just slowly start marching towards them.
Lenore, you are heading first. You see the fields off to the left, the house in front of you. You know the barn is behind it, and you are following this compass. And then as you get closer, it feels like the needle continues to move. As you watch it move, this feels like it's polarizing to one direction over the other. Like it wants to be pulled to the house, but now there's something stronger pulling it towards the barn. As you get a little bit further away from the house, you feel it pull even stronger towards the barn.
It's caught between the house and the barn?
What does it mean? I think we should form up, Lenore. Stay close to the rest of the group, even though we're up in the sky.
Okay.
Strength in numbers out here. It's important for us to remember that. I don't want you to get hurt again, and I know the rest of them don't either.
I've got magical armor. I feel all guided by you. I might be kind of hurt, but I'm ready.
How hurt are you?
Severely.
Oh no.
My wings are crumpled and struggling to keep me aloft, and my arms and legs are clearly all like scratched, messed up.
Does no one else here have any healing magic?
I'm spent.
Well, okay, here's the thing. You know when you said, make sure you have everything when you leave Twin Rivers so we are prepared? Well, I left it at home, okay?
Oh.
I'm magic free. I'm all hands.
I didn't bring the damn device.
We're fine. I'm gonna stay away from anything dangerous.
Okay. The first sign of trouble, though, you fly behind me. I'll keep you safe.
Oh, I'm also going to walk up to you.
I'm 20 feet in the air.
Oh, I'm walking up to where you would be on the ground, and I'm reaching my hand up real high after I fold up Oopsie's tripod legs and make him tiny. You can carry him. He can protect you.
I fly down to take him.
I will ready an action for Oopsies to shoot a force blast. If it gets hit, it'll push the creature 5 feet away, so if anything tries to rush at her, it might halt it in its tracks.
Ooh.
Let's go.
I guess we're going in. And I will, just as we enter the barn, I will revamp that guidance that I placed on Lenore. Make sure that that's still active. You're the lead investigator, it seems.
Following the compass.
It feels like the compass is wavering between multiple points, but the strongest as you walk in is directly to the north. You find yourself at an area with these frothy jars.
It's just a bunch of jars.
I don't think so.
But as you get closer and closer, it goes towards the jar, but it also seems to be wavering to the right of it, where all of these wine bottles are.
Is there anything like under tables or anything?
Why don't you roll me investigation?
Add a d4 if you want.
With guidance. Oh, that's not gonna help much. 6.
Oi.
It looks like this compass is hard to get a hold of. As you walk around different portions of this barn, it's like it can't decide what it wants to point to.
Throw the compass at Santos.
I try to catch it. The things that stand out are these frothy jars, and there's bottles of wine. Feeling like at this point, I want to get out of here and at a loss as to what any of this means, I'm going to take 2 jars and 2 wine bottles. This is evidence of something, and maybe people that are better at this than at least I am should be the ones to take a look at this, and I will put them away. I'm going to take these back. One of these will go to the Nightshade Company. I'm going to take one of each of them. So I'm keeping one of the frothy jars and one of the wine bottles, and I'm going to take the other frothy jar and the other wine bottle, and I'm going to hand them to Poppy. These, I think, should stay with us.
She looks at it, and does it smell?
Ooh, give me perception.
What's it be? Oh, it's a 20! It's a natural
20.
Let's go!
I got a 22!
Nice.
Oh my god!
You notice that as it moves towards you, the compass in Santos's hand continues to point towards these jars that he is actively moving. A smell does come through. You very quickly realize that this is the yeast that helps to create this wine. It looks like it's actively growing in these jars.
Wait a minute, let me test something. Pay attention to these jars and the compass. And she moves left of Santos, and I'm assuming the compass is following basically her motion, right?
Yes, it starts to, but the issue is with your perception, you're able to figure this out. Santos has his own jar in his hand still, and it looks like this compass is wavering between the two. It's almost like they're too close.
I think this has to do with maybe some type of enchantment on that compass, because this, and she holds up the jars and like the wine bottles in her hands, these are clearly evidence of interest. And she looks at Santos and shrugs.
I start to head towards you, Bjork, because you were there with me. You see Santos hesitate for a moment, then step forward as if nothing's happened. Obviously, all of this is related, this list, and I'll put it in your hand. I don't know if this pertains to the meteor, to what happened to Ilos, but clearly this entity with its vines was controlling the cows, and there's something else going on here. What do you make of any of this?
My brain has been racking itself regarding that whole thing, because Ilos fell not even 2 days ago. Nightshade said we had to come out here due to something else falling at the same time, or at least shortly after. There couldn't have been that long for this thing, and he gestures with his head to the open vat. That couldn't have grown that quickly, right?
I guess that is the question. Has this been here since before that?
Did Nightshade even say, did Carmina mention when this fell? I had assumed it was okay, Ilos fell, and this is just part of the debris that we're going to get. Because if this fell in the field, based on the drag marks, because this was dragged from the field and the crash site, could I wager how long ago that this was dragged? Like, is the earth around the drag marks like crusted over? Like this was something that happened forever ago and it just made a rut, like a permanent rut in the crops? Or is there still soil, bunched up on the sides from where this was dragged through?
We can also check when the farmer died. Don't know how long ago that was. He's up there.
Oh.
Bjork, I'm going to have you roll me nature with advantage, please.
Natural 20.
Yes.
For a 23.
You're able to realize that no grass has grown over these drag marks. These drag marks are recent. Knowing of what you do, his body is not decayed too far. You remember Jackal talking about the food inside the house that was still good. This was 2 days, 3 days.
Bjorg stops when he's reading the list and he's rambling about the soil and he pauses and then he hears Lenore say, "That guy up there." And I look up, he's been dead for only a couple days, which means this soil must be only moved for a couple days. That has to match for some reason. Someone dragged that, points back to the woods. That fell. Someone dragged it from outside in the crop fields to here. I'm assuming in hopes of storing it, hiding it away, trying to pawn it, or just research it, for all I know. What their motivations are, I don't know, but I think whatever was inside killed him, as he looks up to the rafters, and went in there, looks in the vat. This must have been full of resonance, which means that tracks with what we saw back at Twin Rivers when the first meteor fell and the dragon came out.
The note says the drink kept us safe but changed them. How did the drink keep them safe? What's that mean?
I don't know. Maybe that's what I was trying to figure out based on what we found back at the farm inside the house. Maybe he stored it in the vat of wine. It didn't just take refuge there when it gained sentience.
This is all a little over my head and really confusing.
Maybe it's rabies in a jar. 'Cause it's frothy.
Let's just make sure to keep this sealed.
Can I toss out a theory about the thing that fell?
Mm-hmm.
Because it landed over there, right? And I point to the vineyard.
Yes, out in the fields.
And then it looks like it was dragged here. What if when it landed, the resonance inside it just grabbed all the vines and it dragged itself into the vat? Sir, up there, happened to be in here and just kind of got the short end of the stick.
Oh, gosh.
We're making a lot of assumptions and speculating a lot, but at the very least we have this evidence and we can take it back and keep some for ourselves, I suppose, if we have an interest to do that. And I'll point up to the guy in the rafters. He wasn't the only person that lived here, was he?
No, he had a family.
Based on the graves outside.
They're buried outside, of course.
He said, I didn't kill them, it did. I killed what they became.
So maybe you were right, Jack. Maybe it did crawl its way in the barn. His family might have been here. It sought refuge in the vat, and he came out to an unfortunate circumstance of his family being zombies, resonant hosts, I don't know.
Vine puppets.
And he did what he had to do.
Bjorg, you're right. Tevin, come with me. And I leave.
Oh, as you say.
I'm heading towards those graves where that family was buried. And I pull out my glaive.
Oh, he's doing it. We talked about it, but he's actually doing it.
Seeing him pull out his glaive, I will change my arm into the short sword and start digging into the ground.
Santos, you see 3 graves here. You see 2 of them are much older. The third looks much newer.
I start with the newer one.
You and Tevin doing what you can. This one is Danella, the name on the grave. You finally get to a body. There's no coffin. This is a shallow grave. The more and more you uncover, the more you see it's a human woman until you see differences. Human bodies don't look like this. You see it has 3 holes pierced through its chest. It looks like a pitchfork went in from the back and came out the front. But you see an unhinged jaw with fangs like a spider. You see arms that have grown long, almost down to her knees. And at the end, these long, spindly fingers.
I step away.
Maybe this was a more developed state of the stuff taken over.
Maybe.
Have you guys noticed that there isn't any, like, defense against the residents here?
Right.
Maybe he was doing some sort of, like, maybe not magic, maybe science, I don't know, but doing some sort of concoction that made him and his family and all the animals, like, repellent to the residents. Kind of like bug spray.
Like trying to microdose on resident to become immune?
Yeah.
Maybe something like that. I mean, maybe it's in there. It's hard to say without something to analyze that wine, but if they were doing that, and that's why it says the drink kept us safe but changed them, I didn't kill them, it did. So they were, them as people were dead, but...
There are 3 large vats in there, and we drove how long from the city? Overnight. No single family needs that much wine, and who the hells would they be trading with all the way out here? It had to have been some sort of security measure for something.
True, those 3 vats, that's a lot of nasty stuff that's in here. Do we set this place on fire
Oh gosh.
before we leave and destroy that? What if other living things find their way here and consume that?
Would the ones that gave you this job be happy with that decision? Or would they want to come and look at it themselves?
Good question.
Sometimes we have to, when faced with the reality in the moment, we have to take matters into our own hands for the greater good. Sometimes we don't have the luxury of waiting for the higher-ups to make that decision for us.
I would like to say, if we're setting anything on fire, I think that's going to elongate our stay because we can't let this forest burn. If this goes up in flames and it's not controlled, I don't want to see the rest of this place go up in flames too. One strong gust of wind could carry it over there. That being said, I think that this probably needs to be looked at by people that know what they're talking about. We're just speculating. Like, this is the best that we can come up with. I haven't had a ton of experience with residents. I've taken out squirrels and rabbits that have been infected, and maybe more when I wasn't myself. But I think that this was going on long before the meteorite, and I think that it's just a pure coincidence that we ended up here after all this happened.
Why did the monster just kill him? Why didn't he take over him? Keep using him?
Why did it just try to kill us? Why didn't it try to use us?
Maybe that would have been the next stage. We would have become just like those cows and pigs.
I'm gonna druid craft a lily to blossom in front of each grave.
Alright, crew. I think we should probably get back. It's gonna get dark before too long. We don't want to be caught out here.
Guide us well.
Yeah.
Tevin's just going to stick close behind Jackal and change his arm to that new light. Kind of help light the way for everyone as it gets darker.
Jack, you're able to retrieve the mechanism and continue back towards the carriage. Gonna have you tell me if you have dark vision or not.
Nope, I don't.
Jack, since you are trying to get them back, I would give you disadvantage for nighttime, but Tevin is giving you the help action with that beautiful flashlight. So you are able to see a little bit. And I'm going to have you roll me survival.
I have only rolled single digits so far, even on a bunch of just random rolls, so let's see where we get. 6!
Oh.
What? What is going on?
Anyway, guess we're getting lost. Sorry, y'all.
Jack, you are continuing through the woods. You're normally on very familiar territory, and this is not it. There is a somewhat path in some areas, but you remember even on the way here, you weren't really following path. You were following areas that had less tree coverage, but no major path that led to this road. You're making your best choices till it starts to get really dark. You've been traveling longer than you did on the way here. And all of a sudden, you hear the sound of trickling water.
Oh, and okay.
I don't remember passing a little creek on the way in.
Me neither. We might be a little lost. I don't know. I must have lost the path back there. I'm a little frazzled given earlier events.
I got a compass. I should have given this to you earlier.
But it doesn't go north.
It's gonna point at the stuff we're holding.
What if we point the stuff north?
How do we know where north is?
Oh.
Without a working compass.
Oh.
I think we may have to make camp so we don't get more lost.
Wait until the sun is up.
Probably not a bad idea.
Is Mel going to wait that long? I thought he had instructions to leave and wouldn't hold for that long. In case we didn't come back.
Well, our two options are maybe get more lost by wandering in the dark, or at least be well rested for a walk back tomorrow in the daylight.
Oh, fuck.
I vote for being well rested, and Poppy, out of her backpack, pulls out a bedroll and flaps it and puts it on the ground.
I'm in agreement.
Okay.
I'll set up a camp for us. We've got water, which is nice, and I'll take first watch tonight.
I have some rations.
I start to make myself comfortable, and I'll turn to Bjorg. I don't know how used to sleeping on the dirt you are, but it looks like you're not going to be able to get back to whatever fancy bed you probably sleep in. Sorry for that.
My clothing is as fancy as I sleep on, so a spare inn would be nice, but bedroll it is.
I'm gonna make a little clearing, get as much brush away from a spot to make a small fire. From my experience, it's not great to keep a fire going through the night out here. So, get yourselves comfortable.
When you have, built up the wood for a fire, when you go to start lighting it, I'm gonna shoot it with a firebolt.
Okay, thank you.
That was quick. Thank you, Lenore.
Yeah.
Laying down, you can see Bjorg is definitely not comfortable on the ground. And he finally decides to take a device out, even though he knows he's probably going to be up all night. It's just a small little box, and you can see a light begins to blip on the top, pulsing repeatedly. I would like to cast Alarm on the area surrounding us. It can be 20 foot square. This is only going to trigger... No, this will be audible to everybody.
Nice.
What kind of sound will it make?
Wake the fuck up! Wake the fuck up!
Yeah, that's going to be somebody's new alarm.
Yep.
Oh my god.
I'll snuggle into my tiny little bedroll.
I'm already asleep.
I'm laying and meditating on my bedroll.
I am sitting over by the water with my ears up, on alert, taking first watch.
Tevin's going to go over and get down on his knees and sit back right next to Jackal. If you would like to rest for the night, I can make sure you are all safe. Don't feel as if you have to stay awake for everyone else.
Thank you. I need at least a little bit of time to kind of collect myself. But I'll take you up on that for the second half of the night.
I'll be close by.
Thank you, Tevin. Brother, thank you, big brother.
Not a problem, tiny brother. I'll stand up. I will go into sentry mode right near where Jackal will be sleeping for the night.
Tevin, as you sit down to go into your sentry mode, you know that Jackal's awake and you're able to calm yourself a bit more. You hear the fire and you hear this small sound of this brook. But all of a sudden, those sounds stop as your eyes go dark until you start to hear again. But this time you're hearing the flapping of that flag. But also you hear the sound of chimes. And as you open your eyes, you again see none of your friends are here. But you're in the same location in this forest, and then plopped down in this forest, trees and all, is this house, the one that doesn't belong, the one you keep seeing. Though this time you see more of it. There is this slab of concrete to the left side, and it runs along the side of the house. It's got these white lines on it in the shape of a semicircle at the end. And this concrete leads to another small building. It's got a wide door big enough to fit a whole carriage through, as well as a small human-sized door next to it. It matches the large building in color and style. Just above this wide door is a rectangular piece of plastic that's been mounted overhead. It's got a bright orange circle made of metal that comes outward from it, and it hangs a net with a hole in it. This board has the outline of a white rectangle just above this orange rim, and hanging from the edge of this smaller building is where those chimes are. They are hit by a central piece of wood that collides with these metal bars and make these beautiful sounds as the wind blows.
You come back again. And I'll stand up, walk to the front door again, and try to open it like before.
Grab the door and you try to open it. The doorknob turns fully this time. And then you begin to push it forward. But it won't budge. It's like there's still a lock, but the handle turns the whole way. And the door just won't open, and you hear the sound of it fighting you. There's a deadbolt in this door. You suddenly feel a shiver as this fog rolls in. And even though you're less than a foot from this door, you can no longer see it. And just a moment goes by and you see that fog has moved a bit further away from you, and you are where you were seated, the fire slowly burning out. But this fog is thick and it is still here. Jackal, this fog came out of nowhere. You have never seen something like this before.
I'm going to stand up, bring the light out on my arm, and try to take a quick look around in a circle before I do anything else.
Why don't you give me perception?
Can I help him perceive by also being like on alert near him?
Okay, 12, so 14.
Don't notice anything out of place.
Continuing to look around, Tevin's just going to yell at the Jackal. Shall we wake the others?
Let's let them sleep a little bit longer until we see something. I think we're okay. These woods are weird. Just stay on alert as best you can.
Jack, how long are you willing to stay up before you would yourself try to fall asleep? The fog stays, though you don't see anything out in the forest.
Jack would probably be willing to stay up all night if he didn't find a spot that he was comfortable in because of this fog, because of kind of just the tension of not knowing exactly where they are. He would stay up the whole night to make sure everyone else stayed safe.
Tevin, are you still staying up or are you going back to your sentry mode?
As long as the fog is there, still up, walking in a circle the whole time. Arm out with the light, just looking everywhere.
Bjorg, Lenore, Poppy, and Santos. I need each of you to roll me a d20.
17.
9.
18.
13.
Bjorg, what are you dreaming of?
I don't know if there's anything in particular, but the mood itself is regret. It's a feeling he had of unease when he went to bed. He didn't want to be a burden. He's picking his actions very carefully, and that kind of went into his dream state. I don't know exactly what he is dreaming about, but it's one of those nights where you find yourself tossing and turning, and if anyone were to look upon him, you can see the scrunched look on his face.
One of those nights where you have half dream after half dream. Sometimes there are normal things. You remember running into Virgil at the finger trap. You remember that first bite of lamb, except when you look up, you're only with Lenore. There's just 10 of Lenore there, and it's just one of those weird dreams. And finally, you have this dream. What is Bjorg's safest space in Twin Rivers?
Outside of his very own cot, There isn't much to Bjorg. He doesn't have a home. On a good day, he can make enough to stay in one of his favorite spots in the riverfront. That's usually his go-to. That's pretty much Bjorg's daily go. Sell, eat, and be sure to stay somewhere nice. Or as comfortable as he can.
And you remember a night at this tavern. Right outside the back has this patio area, and it's just a beautiful summer day. It's been a good day. The sun's starting to go down. You're enjoying some above average ale. And you're here and you're watching people, and there's this family of humans that walks by. Just as they walk by, there is this shout. And everything else disappears. It's just you and this family. A father, a mother, a teenage boy, and a young daughter. And you see the parents and the son turn around as this young daughter starts running down the street, screaming in terror. From down the street, you see a deer, but not a normal deer. It's got teeth that chatter. It moves quickly, it's muscular, it's got viscera hanging from its antlers. You see this connection where the deer hits the child in the back of the head and she falls to the ground. And as you watch this, you see the family starts running over to her. And just a moment later, the father looks at you, pitchfork in hand, and he pulls it back and throws it at your head. As it connects with you, you hear your alarm go off, and you awaken in the forest. Everyone awakens as you hear the alarm.
We need to move immediately. Everyone up, gather your things, go.
Why?
Immediately roll out of the bedroll, grab my glaive, and try to get up to standing and shake off whatever sleep I'm still half in.
Is something coming here? What's happening?
Is there a problem? I've been awake this whole time. There's no need for alarm.
Can you turn off that alarm? It's annoying.
Do I see anything?
All of you see this dense fog, but it slowly becomes easier to see. It's like the wind is finally pushing it away. And you all see that it is very early dawn. You don't see anyone or anything besides you all.
Standing in a panic with my revolver in both my hands, I slip the gun back in the suit jacket pocket. Fuck! And I kick the alarm and I just sit back down on the bedroll. Apologies, it must have... I'll have to work on that one. Get some sleep if anyone needs any extras.
It malfunctioned?
It must have. Maybe the fog was just too dense and it triggered it for some reason.
No worries, it happens.
Apologies again. I'll be up, though, for the rest of the morning. So if anyone needs anything, but please go back to sleep if you need it.
I will stay on watch if you would like. Do you need assistance with anything?
Company, I suppose.
I am here if you need.
If I need to, I'll sleep more.
Yeah, how far are we from a full long rest?
Santos and Lenore, it would be nice if you had a little bit longer. Poppy, you have had your full long rest. I'll say Bjorg, you also have. Jack and Tevin will not be getting a long rest this night.
Bjorg would just be diving into his suit jacket pocket, rifling through tools and gems and little trinkets he has, and just gathering up some necessary items to make 2 pairs of jewelry for the morning. Getting some work done while he waits for everyone to rise.
Hunk shoo, hunk shoo, hunk shoo.
I just stayed up after the alarm, and I'm working on my shoes with my cobbler's tools. So while Bjorg is making jewelry, I'm fixing up the soles of my shoes.
Oh my god, crafting.
I'm trying to twist this earring to make the hoop and have all the intricate little designs in there, and just to break the silence. Tevin? Do you have a name for your gun? I think all weapons should have a name. Do you have a name for your gun?
I only have a name for myself, according to my brother. But I suppose you could give it a name if you'd like.
Oh, it's not up to me, it's up to the user. Sometimes, in certain cases, it can either be handed down or granted to a weapon. Some mythologies speak of past weapons and give it a crazy name that you have to, abide by. But those of us, like myself, I made my gun, and I felt I should give it a name, and I think everyone who wields a weapon should name it.
What have you named yours?
He'll put down the tools, and he'll reach in, and he'll grab it out. Tough luck.
And how did that name come about?
Because if I have to pull it out, you're fucked.
Does that mean I am currently fucked?
Not in that sense. It's less of a... This is more of a showcase rather than a threat of danger. You've had to fire your weapon, so what's its name?
I'm not sure how to answer. It's not something I've thought of in the moment. Naming things is a new concept to me.
It does give things a bit of a realness, a personality almost. Sometimes it's best not to name things. If you find a lost kitten in the streets, sometimes it's best not to name it because then you find yourself getting attached.
This is attached to me, so I suppose I should name it.
There you go, exactly.
Oh, don't let him pressure you. It takes time to come up with a name. Poppy looks over at Bjorg. I still don't have a name for my boomerang. Maybe it'll come to you. Maybe it'll come to me. Who knows?
Maybe you can throw it and it'll come back to you.
Oh, yeah. Good one.
Speaking of, what do you name that, ball of light that you threw at a pig? Does that have a name?
She gets nervous. Her ears droop a little bit. I don't really, have, a name for that either, I guess. I don't know. My manifestation of will? I'm not really sure.
Magic has always intrigued me, so it's something I like to ask about. Is that something... Am I crossing a boundary by asking about that? I can leave it. It's just I am not capable of magic. I can infuse magic into my everyday things, my trinkets, sometimes my jewelry, but sometimes I can't get that spark myself, and I've always been curious.
Well, Poppy kind of twiddles her thumbs. I'm not really sure what it is. I don't really know magic per se. It's, she scratches her head. It's kind of complicated. Because I don't really do magic either. But I can do these things. I'm also not exactly sure why I can. I can't learn magic beyond what I think I know. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, trust me, I've tried. I see all of these wizards and these scribes, and magic is just a blueprint. It's a blueprint for the world around you and the energy in the air. How can it be so difficult when it's just a line of instructions, right? They seem like they write it in their books and they speak it aloud and poof. It's a blueprint. It's everything that I do every day, and yet it goes right over my head.
For me, it hasn't even felt like a blueprint. It just is. But only this. I can only tap into this. And she summons this bright, warm ball again and puts it out quickly. I don't know what it is. And I don't know why I can only do this. But the closest thing I have to it, I guess, or what I think of it, is just sheer force of will. If I could manifest how I feel, I guess that's it.
Thank you. Every definition helps.
Sorry I couldn't give you more.
You're going to hear Tevin's gun come out of his arm, and he's just going to kind of hold it up into the air and look at it in the sun. I don't know a name for it now, but I think I want to give it a name. If you wait a little time, I will give you an answer at the right moment.
Oh, this isn't an answer for me. It's an answer for yourself. But I would like to know.
Me too.
While everyone is talking, Jack's gonna climb up to the tallest tree that he can find in the area. As it's getting lighter, he wants to get to as high up as he can to try and get a view of the tree line, maybe get an idea of where we're heading this morning.
Jack, give me a perception with advantage.
For the love of God, 19.
Attaboy.
Based off of nearby hills and tall trees, particular mountain in the distance to the northwest, which you can see very often from Twin Rivers, you are able to determine, okay, I think I know about where I messed up, and I think if we follow this brook maybe half a mile and then get off the path towards the east, we should be on track to at least connect with the road where this coach is.
Scamper down the tree. When I land, I try to make noise as I land. Smack the ground harder than I normally would to get everyone that's awake to look over, and then I'll motion to wake the remaining two up.
Okay.
Wakey, wakey.
I'm up.
I took a look. Think I know where to go now. We should probably get moving. The earlier we can get back, the better chance we have of Mel still being there. If he's not there, we want the whole day to walk if we need to.
It'll take a lot longer than a day to get back home, but yes. All right, up and at 'em.
I'm ready. Yep.
Oh, I will pull out the apples that I took from the house, and I'll throw an apple to everyone.
As they're packing up, I'd like to go down close to where the water is and just grab 2 decent-sized pebbles, put them in the flap in my chest to make 2 more bullets. I'm just going to load them into the barrels.
Good against flying types.
Wow.
Hey.
No, you're a fairy type, don't worry.
Bjork, as you pack up your things, you notice that there is a single footprint by where your head was laying.
Hate that. Wonderful. Okay. Yep, we'll unpack that later.
And Jack, I'm going to have you roll me survival with advantage, please.
Please! 13.
You do make a couple mistakes on your way. You really thought that this brook was going to take you far enough. All of a sudden, it gets really hilly terrain, and you're not able to follow the brook as it is turning to waterfalls. So you have to, on the fly, reroute. You are able to find a way downward to where you find this road that you were on. Problem is, it's not the exact spot that Mel dropped you off at, so you have to continue further down the road until the road ends. As you do so, you come into view of the coach. The doors are all closed, and it sits just where you left it yesterday morning. You see that Mel has dragged a fallen log into a nearby pathway, and he sits on it. As you approach, you can see he has a piece of graphite. It's making contact with some paper, but he hears you all coming from the opposite direction. He's expecting you to come from the pathway he's directly looking at right now, but instead you're coming from down the road. You see he startles. Not surprised you're alive, but I am surprised you're back so late. All in one piece?
Yeah, I just got us a little lost.
Sorry about that.
Find anything?
And I gesture to the thing that I'm carrying.
I'm not going to ask questions. Everyone get in. Jack, help me load it in the back. All safe.
Yeah, of course.
Jack, as you go to the back, you see Mel opens up the trunk of this caravan. It's an enclosed portion on the back. You can put things in to keep them safe out of the elements. You load it up with Mel into an open metal box. It's something that you've never seen before. Normally, it's just wooden crates you throw the pelts and stuff into. But this thing is pretty large and soft, cushioned insides, likely to keep whatever it is as safe as you can be. Inside the trunk, however, Jack, you see something that you haven't seen in a long time. There is a small box opened, separated down the middle. On one side, there are acorns. On the other, feathers. This box used to be open and here for you at the end of every expedition. But for over a year now, it's been tucked away in the back of the caravan. Just if you needed it, it was there. But right now, the box is open and accessible to you.
I take the feather.
Jack, close this up and signal to the driver and we'll be back to Twin Rivers hopefully by nightfall.
You got it. I walk around to the front of the carriage and like knock on the little window.
A small compartment opens in the door, reveals a space for something to be placed. It almost comes outward.
Put the feather inside, and I'm just kind of like looking down, close the compartment. We're good to go.
As that feather goes in, the compartment retracts into the front of the coach. As you turn to get back into the coach, you hear it opens once more. This time, the feather you just placed in gone. In its place, you see a folded note.
Grab that, quickly open it, read whatever it says quickly before tossing it.
It says, A17, tonight.
I get into the carriage.
The door closes, and it begins moving back towards Twin Rivers. And for today,
No.
that's a wrap.
All right.
Oh.
Thank you all so much for listening. Come join us next week for Behind the Scenes, where we're going to talk about all the juicy goodness of this episode over at patreon.com/castparty. And while you're there, why not try out a free trial of one of our other tiers? You could try out our After Party tier, where we do absolutely ridiculous D&D one-shots. Or why not send in some NPC names or even magic items for the characters to get in-game? You could make your mark on Season 2 if that item or NPC shows up. So again, patreon.com/castparty. Other than that, we will see you next time as we arrive back to Twin Rivers. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Alright, I might as well go over this Twin Rivers crime list. God, I swear they get weirder every single week. Oh, we caught a new guy having a goose theft. A couple of pranksters stole every goose in the town square and dressed them up in tiny wizard hats. And was brought in for unicorn parking violation. Nothing new there. I swear it's the fourth one this week. Dragons, some mystical mischief or whatever, enchanting the town's street signs to point in different directions. That's just rude. Dubword was brought in for pixie pickpocketing. Stealing sweets from pixies and putting them into children's pockets. That is just bizarre behavior, and also, how do pixies even have pockets? They're so small. Sainty Love. Oh, of course he's with the talking tomato incident. Doesn't surprise me in the slightest. That tomato was hurling insults at passers-by left and right. Eric 5, bubble bursting brawl, yes, the fight that broke out over who could blow the biggest magical bubble. I don't even know what they were using, but, Foe Runner was involved in the dragon tongue dumping. Twin Rivers reeked on Wednesday. Heather, yes, brought in for the sleepwalking statue. Do statues even sleep? Aren't they just perpetually sleeping? I guess that's why he was walking around so much. Isuik with the mirror maze, yes, turning the town square into a confusing maze of mirrors. I couldn't find my way home that day. Jesky Fire, yes, siren song scandal. She used her magic lute to lure people into the fountain, and then she dunked their heads in it. It was incredibly harmless, but so many people got wet. Jonas, right, the prankster. It took a while for everyone to catch on, but he made everyone's socks stinky. Kaylee, now this was diabolical, teleporting into bakeries and stealing tarts just to vanish away. I couldn't get my usual pastry for the morning. Lady Lorax was the flamingo fiasco, turning all the chickens into flamingos. We didn't have breakfast for weeks. Lexi was over here scamming people with a singing squirrel, claiming it would actually sing, but it just chirped really loudly. That was after Lexi took everyone's money. Opti was caught stealing monocles and replacing them with enchanted ones, but they only worked in the moonlight. No one could see a damn thing. Ryan, of course, he was the jokester that cursed the town crier to hiccup uncontrollably while making announcements. No one knew what was going on ever. All while Bass Drop was bouncing barrels. I don't know why they make me write this alliteration every time I have to do a report, but it makes sense. He was enchanting barrels to just bounce away when they approached. Slimy, something to do with the Frog Prince. Oh, Right, Slimy was pretending to be the prince transformed into the frog. He was trying to get favors from every citizen. Bubba with the giggling ghost gate crasher. I don't know if Bubba was the ghost or if he just made the ghost or if he reported the ghost. I don't know, but it was crashing every party, making people uncontrollably giggle. I thought it was kind of funny. Or maybe that was just the ghost. All of this was happening while Ebab Flow was creating time loops and causing people to relive the same hour repeatedly every Thursday. And what's even worse is that happened during Twisted Abyss's fiasco with the feline. He had a cat that every time someone came up and touched it, gave it a little pet or a head bonk, it would turn them into a feathered version of themselves. Cats aren't even feathery.